Hello and welcome to the Flyer Review of 2023. Why are we doing this?
Well, we figured you're probably bored of Christmas turkey already, and we're in that whole middle bit between Christmas and New Year. So we figured you needed something to watch.
And we figured that we couldn't quite run a proper live stream, so you got this instead.
Excellent. So, what's coming up?
Well, the idea is we're going to go month by month.
Yep.
We're going to pick out the notable things, and we're going to intersperse that with a few quiz questions from some people you might recognise, hopefully. Yep. And then, if you answer those questions in the comments, you win a prize. So there's 3 prizes. You get a Pooley's loose leaf flight guide for 2024.
Okay, there's a gift package, which is a diary, a Pooley's Pilot Bear, and a 2024 calendar.
And a subscription to the Pooley's Aviation Academy.
Fantastic. There's no Pooley's sword, though, in there.
There isn't, is there?
No.
Maybe we'll up our ambition level for next year.
Yeah, for 2025. Anyway, good. On with the review.
On with the show. Kicking off the year in January, there was the Zero Avia Dornier first hydrogen flight from Kemble.
Sadly, the Blades aerobatic team announced that they were stopping for the year, so they didn't even start.
Very sad. The Blades went blunt. And the other thing is, we launched our first webinar. There's been one a month, I should say, for club members throughout the year. So make sure you'll remember and catch up with those next year as well.
February, we learned that Swansea Airport had its licence suspended, which was a bit of a surprise.
It was. That's an airport that has, I believe, different people with different views.
Yes, yeah. Anyway, Dave made a video about it. You can watch it on this video link above. Indeed,
somewhere, or below, or who knows where. Robin Aircraft entered judicial sort of protected status. That's kind of like Chapter 11, the French version of Chapter 11, although the French would probably say that Chapter 11 is the version of there. But we won't go there.
Yeah. The Light Aircraft Association announced that Simon Tilling would take over from Steve Slater as their CEO, and since then, Simon's been doing some great work, including announcing that the LAA Rally in 2024 will be at Leicester.
Looking forward to that.
Really, yeah. Absolutely.
Continental had an AD, a crankshaft AD, that grounded quite a few Cirri, whatever. But they seem to have handled it well, because there wasn't the kind of furore that you really expect, and that seems to have gone quite smoothly.
Yeah, yeah. Sad news, the last 747 was delivered, and that was a freighter.
It was.
So no window when that retires. No windows for Darren Lewington at Aerotiques to cut out.
So if you want a piece of freighter on your wall,
yeah,
maybe get in touch with Darren now. See if you can put down a deposit.
Yeah. And last but not least,
the Hughes family left Compton Abbas after God knows how many years.
It's a long time now.
They left Compton Abbas, and Guy Ritchie Industries, or whatever it's called, took over, invested in a new restaurant, and I think they were closed for maybe 2 months to completely refurbish. And when you see what they've done, you can see why it took 2 months. So it's a huge amount of work that's gone on there. Sebastian, give us a question.
Pooley's has been publishing its flight guide for 7 decades now. But the question is, when was the first edition published?
Don't forget, answers in the comments. In March, we had Bose launch the A30. Bose are not known for coming out with new headsets every year. I think it had been something like 13 or 14 years since the A20 was launched. So they came out with the A30 and we tested it. We went flying, and there's yet another video for you to go and watch.
There is a video, isn't there? Yeah, excellent. Rotax, this was probably the best kept secret going, but Rotax announced the launch of their 160 horsepower Rotax 916 IS.
They did. And their launch customer is
Cubcrafters. Which it's going in the Cubcrafters UL, isn't it? 600 kg.
Microlight with 160 horsepower.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I reckon you sit there, you go, and you go off the side of the runway. Line up at 90 degrees to the runway. Sad news, the Yakovlevs, Jeff Hopkinson of the Yakovlevs, announced that they were ceasing flying operations. So they've closed that display team. The Yak's all up for sale. There's a video of that, again, down below. And if you want to buy a Yak, get in touch with Jez.
Good opportunity if you want a fabulous Yak 50.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Red Bull pulled off Project Bullseye. This was an amazing thing to land an aeroplane on the helipad on the fabulous Burj Al Arab Hotel in Dubai. It was a Cub that had been very modified by Mike Patey. And yes, yeah, and there was a video of that, and Luke Shapila appeared on our live stream as a guest.
Link to that as well.
Yeah.
Sadly, Reno. It was announced that Reno air races at Reno Stead Airport. This would be the last year. 2023 is the last year, so no more Reno at Reno Stead. At least they're still looking for a new venue. I believe they've got a short list.
I believe so. And there's talk of an air show at Reno next year. In April, obviously, that's big for us because it's Aero Friedrichshafen, which is a tremendous event. So we went along to that and saw wonderful things like the Roban aircraft, the DR401, with the proposed turbine engine in it.
Absolutely, that was a kind of funky looking star of the show, really.
It really was. It really was. Caught a few people unawares.
I guess it's the aircraft equivalent of a concept car, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
This thing may or may not go into production at some stage in the future.
I think, sadly, in a way, there's sometimes not enough of that forward-looking. People are often too scared to go, here's a great idea.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And I guess that's because the margins throughout manufacturing are all so tight, there's not enough to go and create those kind of things. In other news, at Friedrichshafen, Garmin launched PlaneSync, which kind of allows you, if you have the kit fitted, to interrogate your aircraft remotely, download databases remotely, and do all sorts of things like that.
Britain Norman announced that they were merging with their Cranfield hydrogen fuel cell partner. So
I haven't heard much about that since, and probably need to go back and see whether it was a merger or a joint venture or something. It was a little bit blurry, or maybe it's just my memory that's blurry. But we'll go and take another look at that. Also, bad news: the Tayside went into liquidation or administration, so a whole bunch of professional flight students lost their money at Tayside. That was the first of the year. Second one's coming up. Not good news. Don't pay up front, people.
No. Another bit of sad news: there was an arson attack at Davidstow, which is down in Cornwall, I think. Yeah. Anyway, that was someone attacked a hangar there, set fire to it, and 10 aeroplanes were lost. It's really sad, and I think that was compounded for me because I met a few people who lost aeroplanes this year, and you just go, that's just a bit miserable, really, to know that someone broke in, set fire to your aeroplane. So
that kind of thing really pisses me off.
Yeah. Just it's hard to understand why what gets into your mind to make you do something like that. Anyway, sad stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Continental extended their TBR on diesels. That was again announced at Friedrichshafen. Yeah. So the diesel line, which started off yonks ago as Tila, and before that really they were Mercedes-Benz engines.
Yeah.
And that kind of went through various iterations. It's all now Continental. They are gradually getting longer and longer TBRs, time between replacements rather than time between overhauls. So that's good news.
That is amazing. The FAA demonstrated some brilliant thinking by announcing the Varma program. Now, this was something that allows owners of older vintage aircraft to sensibly replace parts, go looking for parts, and not necessarily going the certified route, but just finding a way to keeping difficult to maintain aeroplanes operating.
Cirrus celebrated the 9,000th SR series aircraft with a special edition. Undoubtedly, there's always a special edition every time. Be interesting to see what they do when they get to 10,000. Probably a couple of years away, but
yeah, I'm sure that I'd like to think that would be something really special.
Yeah, I remember they did one. I can't remember. I think it might have been to celebrate the Wright brothers' first flight or something.
It was the Centennial edition.
Yeah, and it's signed by Alan and Dale Clapmire, and
that was the good bit about it. The bad bit was they painted it in a colour called linen.
Yeah, and linen is
like antique brown.
It's like a badly sepia-toned picture, isn't it?
It is.
It's like, why would you do that? Come on, why did you do that?
Yeah,
no good reason.
Here's looking forward to 10,000.
Don't do another linen one.
Yeah.
That's our tip.
Yeah. More bad news. The Cornwall Aviation Museum, it was announced that they were facing immediate closure, and that actually, it's one of those things that you think, well, maybe it won't happen. Actually, it did. Unfortunately, lots of aeroplanes had to be taken apart, cut apart, and they have actually closed. In May, we learned that there was an uncertain future facing 3 Scottish airfields, that's Asheg, Dornoch and Plockton.
So far, I think it's still
uncertain.
Still uncertain, which is a bit of a bugger. Microlight Trade Fair at Popham took place. Although I think that was in April, strictly speaking. And I actually missed that. I believe that was a good event.
It was a great event. Dave and I went along. There is a video.
There's a video.
As you would expect.
Linked, as you would expect, yeah. No, and the BMA continued their 600 kilogram march.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, relentless.
Yep,
Relentless.
absolutely.
So.
In Shoreham, Flight Time Aviation, otherwise trading as FTA Global, another professional flight training school, closed. And again, students lost a whole bunch of money.
Very sad, that.
Very, very sad. So don't pay up front, people, for the second time.
Yeah, and we were surprised as well when Delta Hawk announced that its diesel engine had got FAA certification. That had been a long time coming and almost forgotten. Hey Simon, have you got a question for us?
Hello everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic Christmas. Okay, my weather quiz question for you. At what wind speed does a gale become a gale? Is it 25 knots, 30 knots, or 34 knots? Have fun with that one and have a very happy New Year. I'll see you in 2024.
In June, the cost-sharing regulations were under review, and Wingley were making a bit of noise about it because they're basically saying that if the CAA's changes to the cost-sharing regulations go through, that it will probably mean the end of Wingley's business in the UK.
That would be a bit of a shocker, wouldn't it? So, and Britten Norman, manufacturers of the Islander, announced that they were bringing their manufacturing back to the UK.
Yeah, I think it was in Romania before that.
Was in Romania, and now is it Lyon Solent?
I don't think so. I think it's Bembridge, I think they're
you're right, yeah.
Going back to Bembridge. But again, that'll give us an excuse to go and find out. I was going to say have a poke around, but Bembridge always used to have all sorts of secret stuff and blocked off stuff where they were doing funny stuff to the Army Trilanders and Islanders and whatever they were called. So maybe we won't have a poke around. We'll end up in prison on the Isle of Wight.
In July, Diamond flew their all-electric DA-40E. That was quite exciting to see.
The CAA announced final approval for the ADS-B display for the FISOs at Barton. That was the first. That's been a long process and trial.
British Airways announced the return of sponsored pilot training. That was quite exciting to see.
It was quite exciting. They came up with two announcements. The first announcement, they said, okay, we are going to accept applications from Whitetail students at a whole bunch of schools and and that was good. And then they came out with the announcement a week or so after that about the fully sponsored training as well. So that was really good. And I believe that just before Christmas, the final names of the successful people were told.
And it was more than they planned.
And it was more. I think it was I heard somewhere that it was going to get close to 100.
I heard that too.
And that's a pretty nice Christmas present. If you
for someone
dreamt of becoming 100 people who are having a very special Christmas.
Yeah. Extra announced that they were coming out with a new single-seater. In fact, they unveiled it. It's the 330 SX.
Bit of sad news. David Ogilvie, stalwart of AOPA and all sorts of things, General Aviation, passed away in July.
That was sad. He completed a book just before he passed away. So that is out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I guess the thing that July's really well known for, Oshkosh happened.
Oshkosh.
Awesome
Oshkosh.
Yes, there's so much we can talk about Oshkosh. Actually, what we can do is give you links to a whole bunch of videos that we made while we were there. There was cool stuff like, do you remember the Ascender?
I do remember the Ascender, yeah. We'll link to that video.
Yeah.
That's a funky aeroplane,
That was very cool. Rachel went for one of the famous Bell helicopter rides, didn't she?
That's right, yeah, she did. And at the other end of the scale to the Ascender, which is, you got to look at and say, that is funky.
Yeah.
There's Textron announced a new interior for the single-engine pistons.
I know everyone has to have some news, but Textron, can you just try and come up with some more exciting news?
But there is a video of that. Dave interviewed them about that as well. So there's a video of the new single-engine interior from Textron.
There's probably other things we've forgotten, so there's probably going to be links here, and here.
There's huge amounts. I mean, you had a good chat with Vans about the update on the RV15. Obviously, there's been a shed load of
water
other
under
news.
the bridge since then.
Yeah.
But that's still, the RV15 is still something that everyone's really excited about, and it will happen.
So there was that. Rachel also flew her first circuit in Cirrus.
Cirrus,
Video of that.
Yeah.
I flew in to Oshkosh a week before in
a Vision Jet.
In a Vision Jet. There's a video of that.
Yeah.
So we'll just link to all these videos.
Yeah.
By the time you've watched them all, it'll be the new year anyway.
It'll probably be Oshkosh.
It'll probably be Oshkosh. In August, well, first of all, you have to go back to Aero Friedrichshafen, which was in April, and we caught Rachel on camera saying something not entirely complimentary about gyrocopters.
I still need some convincing that gyrocopters aren't the worst of both worlds.
Oh.
So in August, we put Rachel and Steve Boxall together, and she spent a day flying a gyrocopter out of Popham, and we made a video, and that's turned out to be extremely popular.
It was, wasn't it?
I'll leave you to. We'll link. You can watch it and see whether she changed her mind or not.
Absolutely, yeah. The LAA held their grassroots fly-in at Popham for the second year. That was tremendous. First day on the Friday was really wet, but it was followed up with the Saturday and Sunday that were actually quite nice weather and good attendance. Obviously, no Popham next year, but there will be the fabulous LAA rally. I'm predicting it's going to be fabulous that takes place at Leicester.
Halfpenny Green got a new owner, which is good news. The local pilot's taken over. It's got big plans for Halfpenny Green. We'll be reporting on those in 2024.
In September, we had our first Flyer Club fly-in, which was at Leicester. It's almost like we were predicting that the LAA rally was going to go there. But it was fantastic, and it was scorching weather.
There was a new plan announced for Wellesbourne. Wellesbourne, a long disputed airfield with, again, various factions trying to organise various bits and pieces. There's a plan that's been proposed that sees more industrial work and sees the runway being moved. Unfortunately, it sees the runway being moved as the last step of the process, which, with my cynical hat on, which is the invisible one, I don't know. I think the important structural things like that ought to be the first thing.
If you're going to move a runway, move it first. NATS published a white paper where they were called, interestingly, they were calling for electronic conspicuity for all, I think by 2025, wasn't it? It must be time for another question. Sebastian.
Pooley's launched a new online learning platform for PPL theory training this year. The question is, can you tell me its name?
Don't forget, answers in the comments.
In October, we were shocked with the news that Van's Aircraft announcing that they were suffering some financial challenges. Bit of a surprise, world's biggest kit plane manufacturer and seemingly, top position. Real surprise to hear that they were suffering some problems.
I wouldn't have predicted that for Vans, to be perfectly honest. But
I think a lot of people were in the same boat.
Yep, I think you're right. And it's one of the rare times when I think you could probably say that a manufacturer could have done with a couple more accountants.
More accountants, less engineers.
More people in accounting, please.
Yep.
That's not a general thing, by the way, but just for this. So the Army said goodbye to the Gazelle after God knows how many years they must have been flying that. It's like an awful long time.
The last few based at Middle Wallop, wasn't it?
Yep. And that was it. So bye Gazelle.
Yeah, and over in the US, the Environmental Protection Agency finally added pressure to get rid of leaded avgas by they've got an endangerment category, haven't they?
Yeah. So they basically took a step which made the legal action follow on more easily. I think. But effectively, it's all heading in the direction of lead not becoming lead getting removed from avgas from 100 LL by 2030 in the US, 2025 in Europe. There's some questions coming up there. We keep asking lots of people lots of questions and not getting lots of answers at the moment. I think the best answer we've heard so far is there's quite a lot going on in the background. So let's hope that's correct.
October finished with the good news. Since the 1950s, the UK hadn't seen an airworthy Hawker Tempest. Well, the Warbird restorers up at Sywell, Ultimate Warbirds, flew a Hawker Tempest for the first time. And people were kind of really excited and surprised that had happened. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
In November, remember earlier on in the year we spoke about Robin Aircraft going into sort of judicial protection. Well, come November, the court in Dijon basically liquidated Robin. They said they'd had 3 proposals, none of them were acceptable. So Robin Aircraft, which is the manufacturing arm that used to build new Robin, is no more. It's being liquidated by the court. CEAPR, on the other hand, which is the company that owns the rights and the type certificates and supplies spares to the fleet, is not involved in that. It is not in trouble and fully intend to continue to do what they did. And I'm pretty sure that we will see at some stage somebody emerging building new Robin again.
Almost certainly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There was a cost-sharing consultation that was launched by the CAA, and again, Wingley had something to say about this, didn't they?
Yep, and in fact that kind of whole story still drags on, and so we still haven't got to the end of that particular story. I think we probably will in 2024, and probably relatively early 2024 is my guess. Shockingly, or perhaps not so shockingly, the sale of Gloucestershire Airport, Staverton, as most of us know it, was announced. Apparently that was approved back in 2020 at a kind of political level by the councils or something. Somewhere around the time they spent a load of money on the runway.
Yes, the major runway resurfacing programme. And then the surprise news that it was being sold really did surprise everyone, because no one had any clue it was happening, and the local paper revealed it.
It was leaked by a councillor, I believe, or I shouldn't really say that. It was leaked by somebody. It may or may not have been a councillor. I don't really know.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a big surprise. The CAA announced the next round of grants for their hydrogen challenge.
Yeah. So we've had a whole load of grants from CAA, DFT, and Uncle Tom Cobley for the whole eVTOL green flying thing. Now it's a continuation for the hydrogen challenge. So I fully expect to see it. At least 50 websites hitting the ground proclaiming something, looking for grants and money. A little bit of grant farming going on there. And then there was a consultation for PMD, Pilot Medical Declaration. The CA recently launched that. I think that may have closed now. Sebastian, give us a question.
Pooley's sponsors the International Dawn to Dusk competition, which celebrates its 60th anniversary next year. But the question is, which member of the royal family provided the inspiration for the competition back in 1964?
Don't forget, put your answers in the comments.
In December, Hill Helicopters had an open day and revealed 2 of the helicopters, the kind of one that you build yourself and the one that is certified, the HX and the HC.
HX50 is going to be the one that you build with the assistance of Hill, and then there's one that will follow eventually, the HC, the certified version.
Yep.
But this is amazing because it's a brand new airframe, their own design turbine, and their own avionics. I don't think I've ever known a manufacturer go and create all those 3 things at once. Catching up from October's news was that Vans, having declared their financial troubles, went, surprise, we're filing for Chapter 11, which was a real... I don't know... if you've been in the business a long enough time, you know, when someone says we've got troubles, then bankruptcy might be coming along. For some of us, it wasn't a surprise.
I have no doubt that the future will be okay, but I think it will be a changed Vans. Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, prices
maybe for the better.
Yeah,
ultimately,
prices going up. So, but then Vans were always one of the best value kit planes around. They certainly managed to keep prices low, but that's all changed.
Yeah, absolutely. And that pretty much wraps up the year.
Blimey, how did we already?
I don't know. Amazing, isn't it? Favourite aviation memory of the year for you?
For me, it's a real personal one. In late 2022, I imported an aeroplane from the States, Little Vans RV3 single-seater. Spent all of a chunk of winter and spring putting it together, and flew that for the first time just before Oshkosh. And it was just it was a cool project, and getting airborne in that, flying that was just a big deal for me.
When you say put it together, it wasn't like a kit, was it?
No. It was a finished aeroplane that had been flying. In fact, it had been at Oshkosh the previous year, which was exciting. And we'd not me. It got taken apart, put in the container, shipped across, and then obviously reassembled and put onto the LAA system. So it's not an instant process, but something that you can work through, and it is possible. So.
When you open that container, for the first time,
you go.
Do you go?
Yeah, it's like everything's all still strapped in, and it doesn't look like it's been shaken to bits.
Must be such a relief.
I know. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. But what about you?
For me, I think one of my ambitions has always been to visit Oshkosh without it being Oshkosh.
Yeah,
I still want to do that in the winter sometime, although that might be quite cold in Wisconsin. So I still want to do it when it's completely empty.
Yep.
But I got a chance to fly in the Vision Jet, fly myself in the Vision Jet.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Mac Burwell sitting beside me because he knows what he's doing. The week before the show, and just have a look around and the kind of build up. It was kind of fascinating because you knew I've been enough times to know what Oshkosh is like.
Yeah, but it is
to
weird
see
being
it
there.
when it's kind of just not Oshkosh yet.
No people.
No people is really quite.
Yeah.
It's a serious undertaking.
Yeah.
Serious undertaking.
Fantastic.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, let's be brave.
What do we know?
What are we going to predict for 2024?
Well,
we might run this part of the video for next year, by the way.
Well, certainly in the comments you can tell us what your predictions are for 2024. I'm going to guess maybe more eVTOLs and more TDAs or TRA.
I think that's true. I think my prediction is Avgas is going to get more expensive.
I think that's almost certainly going to happen.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget to answer the questions to the quiz if you want to win one of those great prizes.
Yep.
Have a great new year, and we look forward to seeing you in 2024.
Yeah, and as always, thanks for being part of everything that we do. We couldn't do it without you.
Absolutely. Thank you.